starts now.
Thanks for sticking with us here at 7:30. If you live and work here in Charlotte, congrats on making it home safely. As I'm sure you know, if you walk, you bike, or drive in the city, it's not a given.
More people are distracted when they're driving, so whether that's texting, I feel like every third person I kind of drive by is looking down.
It's real wild out here. The crazy drivers out here. I try to keep every store on this side right here. It gains me from going across the street getting hit.
Yeah, we've all felt that, we've all seen it, and too many have paid a terrible price. Dozens of people are killed on Charlotte streets every year. It's not a new problem, it's been going on for a while. It's why back in 2018, Charlotte joined the Vision Zero movement, an action plan designed to reduce crashes and eliminate traffic-related deaths and severe injuries by 2030. It is an ambitious goal.
But if you don't say zero, Jamie, what do you say? Do you say Vision 5?
Yeah.
What if one of the 5 is your son or daughter? Do you say Vision 10? What if it's my mother? I can't say that. I have to say Vision Zero. That's the goal.
It needs to be the goal.
It needs to be the goal.
Well, here we are 7 years in and 5 years away from 2030, and quite frankly, we are nowhere near zero. In 2018, when this idea was born, the city saw 154 people killed or seriously hurt in crashes involving vehicles. Over the last 5 years, we're still averaging 145. And in 2023, we saw 163.
A noble goal, obviously, but we've also seen the data, right?
Yes.
It is showing us going in the wrong direction
Yes.
when it comes to this. Does that mean it's been a failure?
I would not say that the investments in Vision Zero have been a failure. The city has done a lot to make our streets safer. They're investing in those mid-block crossings. They've done a lot of intersection safety improvements, working on the bike network. It's just not happening at nearly as fast of a rate as it needs to even keep up with our existing population, let alone the population that we're adding to the city of Charlotte.
Yeah, the city has invested more than $10 million on safety projects since the launch of Vision Zero. And it certainly is hard to keep up with the city growing as fast as ours. But it's also a reality that Vision Zero as an idea is struggling all over the country.
We certainly have not been going towards zero when it comes to fatalities. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is to renew the interest, but set some reasonable targets that will get us moving in the right direction.
David Harkey with the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety says it is time here for a reset, and here's why. Nationwide in 2022, 42,514 people died on our roads. That is a 30% increase since 2014. It's why Harkey is pushing for a new campaign, 30 by 30, a 30% reduction in fatalities by 2030.
We really need to seriously think about where we are going and how we're going to turn this ship around and move towards zero. And that's what we're trying to do. We still believe in the concept of Vision Zero, but we feel like we really need this interim target to help us move in the right direction.
Charlotte's one of those cities, right, that have embraced the Vision Zero concept. But yeah, as you point out, the numbers are moving in the wrong direction. I guess just to kind of sum it up here, where did we get it wrong?
It's a good question, right? As to try to figure out where we went wrong. And I think it's just been a lack of dedication to the problem, recognition that we've got this huge problem, and we haven't changed policies when it comes to speed, when it comes to impairment, when it comes to belt use, at the rate we really need to. We haven't been able to invest in the changes in our infrastructure that we need to, like putting in more roundabouts, adding more sidewalks, doing more things for pedestrians and bicyclists. The vulnerable road users have taken the majority of the hit.
And that's the thing, David, right? This obviously crosses a lot of interest groups, right? The public, politicians, police, manufacturers, the insurance industry as well. How do we get everyone on the same page here?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I think that's one of the failure points that we've had over the past decade. We need partnerships. We need champions for change in each of those areas that you just described. And we need to be speaking with one voice about how serious this is and what we can do to make change. And I think that's going to be another key to success, is if we can get everybody on the same page and moving in the same direction, I think people will take notice, and we will start to see changes in policy and practice that will make a difference.
And again, here are some of the things the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety would like to see put into practice. A 65 per hour national maximum speed limit. Also dropping the blood alcohol concentration from 0.08 down to 0.05. And then get to 100% seatbelt use. The Institute says those three things right there would save about 8,400 lives a year. It gets you to about 2/3 of the way to that 30% goal.
So if we want a commitment to Vision Zero, we need to have a plan to get there. And so having an interim goal to make sure that we're on track to reach whatever time-bound goal is both ambitious and realistic is a very smart way to do it.
Right there, Meg Fensel, you heard from her a moment ago. She's with Sustain Charlotte, a local grassroots organization that has championed the Vision Zero cause. While she's good with the 30 by 30 goal, she does want the city to keep pushing for changes, big and small, to get to zero.
So speeding, distracted driving are huge contributing factors. So we all have a responsibility. When you get behind the wheel of a vehicle that weighs thousands of pounds, we all have a responsibility to drive safely, to pay attention, to follow the laws, and to look out for the most vulnerable users of the streets. Most people are not looking at the speed limit sign to determine how fast they go. They're getting visual cues from the environment. So when the lanes are wide open, that might intuitively feel like a safe street when there's no barriers, but what research shows is actually when the lane is narrower, when there are trees, when there's a little bit of a wiggle in the road, that's when it's actually safer because the driver has to slow down and really pay attention.
And that does get to the long-term goals of the city with the mobility plan. There's now talk momentum, perhaps building to get the 1 cent tax question on the ballot. How does that play in? If that plan comes to fruition, would we see a reduction in fatalities? Would we see a reduction in crashes around Charlotte?
I think it's very likely that we would see a reduction in traffic fatalities and serious injuries with a transformational investment in mobility. So we're talking about not just the incremental funding that happens every 2 years when we vote on the transportation bonds. That's not keeping up with population growth and safety needs. We would need a transformational investment. So dramatically increasing public transit so we don't have as many cars on the road as more people move here, but also protected bike lanes and improved sidewalks and safer intersections. So having a new funding source would also leverage federal funding that would be available to match some of that local money. So that's how we're going to get to really creating safer streets.
And we wait to see if Raleigh will approve the go-ahead for that 1 cent sales tax referendum on the ballot. We'll keep you updated. All right, speaking